So a really exciting session up next, which is all about the One Young World Social Business Accelerator. And we talked about the One Young World Social Business Fund in Zurich. We announced the idea with Professor Mohammed Yunus on stage in Zurich. And I'm delighted to welcome him back to the stage with a couple of other very important people. So if we could have, first up, Professor Mohammed Yunus. And I think an amazing speech Professor Yunus did. And what we're going to do in a minute is Professor Yunus will talk to you for a little bit, and then we'll open up the floor for 10 minutes with the questions. But I'd also like to welcome up onto the stage Hans Reitz. So Hans is another returning councillor to One Young World, did the most amazing session in Zurich last year where he energized the entire room. A huge ally and close worker with Professor Yunus, someone who's been an enormous driver of the social business fund, social business idea around the world, and a living legend in his own right. And thirdly, and last but not least, is the founder of Kiva. Absolutely delighted to welcome, and it's the world's first ever peer-to-peer micro-lending website. She's an active advisor and board member on a number of organizations championing microfinance, women's issues, tech and the arts. Please welcome Jessica from Kiva. So Jessica and Hans, if maybe you want to grab some seats here. Professor Yunus, hand the floor over to you. Okay. And then in the Q&A, please feel free to fire questions at Jessica and Hans as well.
Thank you. Okay.
Jessica, pick a seat, any seat.
Can I just jump?
Yeah.
You want me to join in?
Yeah, well, if you want to wander, you do whatever you want, Professor Yunus.
I can stay here and
like
talk a little bit. Okay, hello everybody. Hi, hello. We had a lot of fun last night. Yep. And as I was saying, if you don't know something, it's good. Don't have to worry about it. You go right in and make it happen. And you can be very free in your mind and just try to achieve what you wanted to do and figure it out how to go around. And I can tell you, each one of you, and I'm saying it confidently, not just half-heartedly or casually, each one of you who are present here, each one of you can change the world individually, not collectively. So that power each one of you have. First thing I'm trying to say, become aware of that power, that you feel that you have the power. Because you don't feel the power, it will never be used. Feel the power, and then when you feel it, ask yourself the question, what are you going to do with this power? And then you have to figure it out yourself. Nobody else can help you. If you look at us, the previous generations, we are coming from another planet, a primitive planet. That won't be a good guidance for you because you are in a new planet completely. So there is a little disconnect from the old planet and the new planet. Be aware of that disconnect also. You don't have to take everything from the old planet. Be very selective what you want and feel free to reject. Because that's the only way you can create new things. Otherwise, you're stuck with the old things as it goes on. Many of the problems that you see around you and you see around the world are very simple problems. Can be solved in a very simple way. But old-fashioned thinking is you try to look at problems in a complicated way. The more complicated you make, more pleasure you get out of it. You become an expert. We don't have to be an expert because the problems are very simple problems. I feel this very strongly and I share with you. There are many people who are illiterate, cannot read, cannot write. Not just few thousand or few 100,000, few millions, it's billions of people. In this day and age, there is absolutely no reason whatsoever, absolutely no reason, why anybody should remain illiterate, cannot read, cannot write. Because technology makes it happen. It's a self-teaching completely. You don't even talk about teaching. It's not teaching. It's a fun thing. But you deprive people from that fun thing. Mobile phone, cell phone can be in the hand, but the guy, the woman, the old lady or old man or a young person, he doesn't know how to read and write. But he is expert in using this hand phone. Any little boy and little girl can learn how to play games. You don't need to send anybody to school how to play games. Have you ever done that? Sending somebody to go to school to learn how to play games on the internet or on the mobile phone or whatever gadget you have. It's a fun thing. They learn from the moment you give it to him, or a little kid gets glued to it. Why can't we come up with ideas how to make these people to learn without even feeling that learning anything? It's a fun thing to go from one stage to the next stage. You have that technology in your hand. If you can find out one simple way how to make it happen, you change the whole world. But that software will be available, so it'll be downloaded any place, anywhere, and you can get it done. You make the start. You don't have to do the 100% of the job. Just make the start. And other things will start adding and adding and adding, and you'll learn whatever is done. So this is the challenge. Each one of you can design a social business. That's all creative idea. Social business doesn't have to be a mega business. It could be a very simple thing. Some of the social businesses can start with $200, $500. So when you talk about social business, you don't get thrown away, oh, that's a business people's thing. It's not business people thing. It's you and me things. You figure it out how to do that. But if you have done that with that $300, $500 social business, you have opened up the whole floodgate. That can be now repeated and repeated, solve the entire problem of the world. Always look at the tiny slice of the problem. Don't look at the whole problem. Just tiny slice of the problem. And work on the tiny slice. If you can do the tiny slice, whole thing is done. Don't try to find employment for every unemployed person in the world. Then you'll never do anything. Try to find a social business idea, how to find good income generating employment for two people. And you'll come up with a brilliant idea how to create a small little business to do that. If you know how to do that for two people, you repeat it, same thing, because each one is a business. So you can repeat it easily, it will be sustaining, self-sustaining, and you have done it for 4 people. Then somebody say, I can do it for 40 people, it's the same thing. You solve the problem. So always look for the tiny slice. So today, one thing, when you design those social business, I hope next time you come around, everybody comes with at least one great social business idea to this forum. And then exchange with each other. And in the meantime, through email, through Facebook, through Twitters, you keep on exchanging what social business design you're making on technology, on removing illiteracy, bringing healthcare with the mobile phone, cell phone, or whatever you're doing. It will be a flood of ideas. We have so much creativity in you, so much potential of solutions. If you put them together today, all the world's problem will disappear. And I always insist, human creativity is so enormous and it's still growing bigger and bigger. If you put this human creativity to fight the problems, these problems cannot stand a chance. They had to quit because human creativity is so fantastic. So this is what you got. Next time, bring that social business ideas, then we are going to announce something today, creating a social business fund. Don't worry about the money part. Just worry about how to design it right. Then there will be a competition. Your company, you vote for them that this is the greatest idea. Then they will fund it. You go ahead and create that business, show it to us. And you'll be amazed how you have solved the world's problem. You don't have to go to some other place to find the solution. You are the solution, and make it happen. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. So, Kate and I are going to go down onto the mics. We've probably got enough time to do 5 or 6 questions to Professor Eunice, Jessica, or Hans. So if anyone has a question about social business ideas, etc., please come to the mic, and Kate, and we'll probably do 3 on each mic. So let's start with Ajay from Indonesia.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you for Mr. Muhammad Yunus. You're very inspiring for me. Actually, me and my friends are now running for social business in agribusiness in Indonesia.
Very good.
And I hope it's coming bigger, but it's still a startup now. What I want to ask you is, this is so many people here and from many countries. What do you think about capitalism? And what do you think about social business paradigm can change the capitalism system and makes the better economic system in the world? Okay, thank you very much.
Just quickly to answer your question. And my feeling is capitalism, the way we practice it or we interpret it today, is very narrowly done, because it interprets human beings in a very narrow way, assuming as if human beings are some kind of money-making robots. We are not robots. So that's where something fundamentally wrong in the present interpretation of capitalism. So what I'm trying to say, why don't we get the broader interpretation of human being, which is while we are selfish as a human being, we are also selfless, and bring it together. So with the selfish part, we can create business to benefit myself, individuals. And with the selfless part, we can benefit the rest of the world. And we create businesses of both types, not just one type. Today, capitalism is standing on one foot. That's why it's very unstable. So you put the other foot, the social business foot to it, then it becomes stable. We can create problems, which we do by creating all the money-making businesses. We create a lot of problems. And with the social business, we can solve all the problems. Same person is doing both kinds of things. So we'll be very respectful when we do the profit-making business, not to create problems for ourselves, so that we don't have to go and clean up the mess again to the social business. So that way, the world will be a much better place, and it will be a better interpretation of capitalist system.
Thank you. Now we have to go to the other question, but thank you very much. Katie, do you want to?
Professor, this is returning ambassador from Ecuador, Francisco Abad.
First of all, I wanted to thank you because before I even heard from you, I didn't even think I was going to go into business ever because of, I thought, capitalism, I don't like it. But I recently founded a non-for-profit corporation in Texas where I study, and, I just graduated. But my question was, non-for-profits don't look for investors that will, get dividends like you mentioned yesterday. But for me, it's still very hard to grasp the concept of going to somebody and tell them, invest in my company and you'll never get anything out of it. So I wanted to see what would you think on how to talk to these people and convince them that our idea will change the world and they should pitch in for it to happen.
Yeah, as I was mentioning a little while ago, first task that we are giving or asking you to do is to design the business like you have done. The rest of the problem, the finding money, should be on the other side. You don't have to worry about the money. We are creating social business funds. Now one of them will be created here today for the One Young World. And then fund would be coming to you for good ideas and so on. And then around the world, we are encouraging people to come with the social business fund. We have created social business fund in India. We have created in Haiti. We have created in the USA. We have created in Germany. Now, Credit Agricole in France will be announcing it very soon, a social business fund. So there are many social business funds that are being created. So today, the problem is we have more funds at our disposal than the ideas. Okay. So you have to fill in the gap. Perfect. So we need the ideas where we can put the money. Right. So don't worry about the money part. Come with the good design part.
Thank you.
And we could do that. Thank you.
Jessica?
Who?
Do you have a perspective on that?
No, I didn't want to, I wanted to add if I could, because being somebody who has raised money for nonprofits in the past, straight donations for existing 501c3s that people might see as nonprofits, as much as you want to tell them it's social business, sometimes people's minds take a little while to change. I have talked to people and said, I understand you have a lot of money. Whatever they're going to do with their money, in essence, they're buying something, right? They can buy shares of a company that might give them a financial return. That's a fine thing to buy. It's fine. But what they can buy when they invest in your work is world change. So I talk to them and am very honest about, you're purchasing something here, but you're purchasing something pretty magical and pretty special. So is that what you want to buy, or do you want to go buy something else? So I like to talk to them as consumers, as investors, despite the fact that it may not be financial return, there's other wonderful ways to get return in the world.
Yeah. And also, you are the path breaker for crowdfunding.
I like asking people for money.
Yeah. So if you have a great design today for all of us, everybody's convinced this is a beautiful design, we can raise the money right here.
Absolutely.
As an investment. Because crowdfunding doesn't need thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Put your $50, put your $10, that gets together and it's good for one social business.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to worry about the big money to come and then we can start, we can do it ourselves. We can design on the internet the crowdfunding mechanism. If you have a good idea, put it on the internet. Is anybody who would like to invest in it? And I'm sure lots of people will come back, I'll invest my money into that. And that's what we're waiting for. And in the meantime, besides that, there are a lot of funds already generated. It's already available. So don't worry that part of it. Come with the idea part of it.
Yes.
We now have Alanda from Indonesia with a question, a returning ambassador.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm currently writing a book on social entrepreneurship, especially about those in my country, Indonesia. And I realized that Professor Yunus proposed 2 types of social enterprise models. And I personally think that those 2 types are a bit too, not too difficult, but a bit more complicated to follow for every business to be a social business. Well, I believe that any business that starts changing its mission to solve a problem rather than making profit could be the seed of a social business. So the question is to all panelists, what do you think could be the real, most universal definition of a social business or social enterprise? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, I didn't say anywhere that all businesses have to be social business. I'm always saying all businesses can do whatever business they want to do. But there's one piece which is called social business, which is a non-dividend company. So if you're doing other kinds of business, that's fine with us. If you want to do socially oriented business, making profit, that's fine with us. But if you want to exclusively do the business to solve problems, then you come into the category of social business, where it's a non-dividend company. So that idea of making profit completely disappears from your mind. It's very important, that part is important, because this is a non-smoking room, isn't it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can somebody say, can I take a small puff? Can't say that. What's wrong if somebody, one of you can take a small puff? Does it destroy everything? Why do we do that? Because when you have a non-smoking room, it has its own logic. The moment you allow one single puff, that logic is broken. And somebody says, well, okay, he wants a small, what's wrong with the 2 puffs? What's wrong with 1 cigarette? You go in another trajectory. So that's why it's good to clean it up, say it's a non-smoking, and everybody understands, forget about smoking. And that's the logic that social business brings. There is no case of taking any dividend whatsoever. Then your mind is very free. You go into it, you don't go into other controversies. That's why we insist on that. And social business definition is universal, it's not local definition. That's why we have defined social business as a non-dividend business to solve human problems. Thank you.
Professor, new delegate Barker Mosai from Mauritius.
Thank you for that really amazing intervention, Professor Yunus. You're amazing. I have a couple of questions for you. Basically, we young people here have crazy ideas, and I do think our generation will be the one who really gives weight to the idea of social business. However, we do encounter this sort of brick wall with the elder generation, especially in terms of funding, because they think that we are too risky to invest in. So my first question to you would be, what sort of narrative can we engage in to convince people from the elder generation to provide us with not only the funds, but also the time and perhaps the mentorship to ensure that our social businesses prosper and do not fail? And the second question is...
Let's stay with the first one, then we'll come back.
We can only do one because Roy has to ask his question. So.
Yeah,
okay, that's all right. This was very important for me. Thank you very much.
My answer is, who cares for the old generation thing? We just go our own way. You don't have to wait for their opinion and their guidance and so on. That's what all the time I'm saying, that you are free. You can make your own judgment and go right ahead. Just because they are older doesn't mean that they have better things to tell you. And in our kind of culture, we always think older you are, wiser you are. That is now changed. Younger you are, wiser you are.
Yeah.
And that's the world you have to grow. So don't worry, don't look back, don't look back. And don't have to go to them to find the money. It's not I go to my dad, give me some money, I have to do some shopping. Those days are over. Young people can generate enough money. Look at her. Is she an old person? That's Kiva. Did that. So this is how it is done. So don't worry about that way, that the money will come if you have the idea. If you can solve a slice of that problem, the whole world will come to your feet because nobody else has solved the problem. You have done it. So it's not the age people will be looking at. It will be the result that we're looking at and say, my God, she has done that. We have to go and chase her to persuade her to do it a little more. Here is my money, take it. That's what they will say. So concentrate on the idea. That's your power. Idea is the power. Creativity is the power. Technology is the power. That's what you got.
Jack Dorsey from Twitter's backstage. He did quite well at getting money young. So great answer. And one final question, Roy from South Africa.
My question is regarding how can we make it as easy as possible for entrepreneurs to succeed, because we've been speaking about the huge unemployment rates and various problems, so that means entrepreneurs need to succeed in addressing those problems. And I have to be honest, I mean, I just started a business called Rise Africa Rise, and I have to admit that I'm struggling a lot, and sometimes I think to myself, well, it's easier to give up than to continue. And
Don't give up.
I'm sure many other people are in the same boat, and if you look at the stats, it's 9 out of 10 businesses that fail in the startup phase. So the question is to all of you, how can we make it easier for entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs to succeed?
Think very small, that's the trick. So small, even if it fails, it doesn't bother you. It's such a tiny little money involved. But when you fail, don't think you have failed forever. It's a first chance, first round is a failure. And you go back, improve it again. It's a small amount of money. So out of many that everybody will bring, some of them will fail, of course. That's what the business is all about. That's what the beauty of it. So if it doesn't designed right, it will fail. So blame yourself. I didn't design it right. Don't say something government didn't do it, something somebody else didn't do it. That's not a good explanation. When the business fails, always blame yourself, the person who designed the business. You didn't do it right. And go back to the drawing board, do it right, do it again. And try it as small as possible. That's why I gave the example of create a business to find employment, create employment for 2 people. If you have done that, if it failed, okay, how much money is involved? Very small. But you tried again, improve your design. Go back, you learned a lot. Go back and do it. This time it worked. So that compensated. Now for 2, you can move on to many more. That's little opening. Every time you do the prototype, you are actually designing a seed. When that seed works, plantation is not a problem anymore. It becomes real anytime right now. Thank you.
Okay, and one final question. We have to be quick with the question, quick with the answer.
South Africa.
Sorry, we missed the start.
Okay. My name is Mzwa from South Africa. I study at the University of Cape Town. I just want to thank Mr. Yunu for his work, first of all. It's very phenomenal. But to be very quick, I just have one question. Like we've been told throughout the sessions, how people are the solution and how people are a great resource for solving the issues. But like I feel like as a student, there are a lot of people out there with solutions in cafeterias and wherever. But whenever they try and make change, as you say, there's more funding, there's ideas. But like for people to bring out those ideas, they have to know that there's support. And for me, in my opinion, well, maybe it's because of my country, people don't have the sort of funding and support. And I think that a healthy nation is good, but like people don't believe in that. So we need more corporates to come in and play. So I just think, in my personal opinion, in Africa, there isn't much funding than the idea. There's more ideas than funding.
30
Thank
seconds.
you.
Okay. Well, one way, next forum, this conference will be in Johannesburg, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Before that, we have to create a fund for South Africa.
Great
so
idea.
This is a task.
Excellent idea.
If we take initiative, creating a fund is not a big miracle. It's a 1, 2, 3 steps, that's all. So it's a question of making up your mind, start with a small fund, and to begin with. If it works, more funds will keep rolling in. You can't stop money coming in if you find the solutions. So creating that fund, even if it doesn't exist today, it doesn't mean that it will never happen. Simply waiting for things to happen right away. If you bring all these hundreds of young people coming to Johannesburg, and Johannesburg not announcing a social business fund, then this will be a big crisis.